Hello? Are we online here? Looks like people are good. Yes? Hello? Everybody? We good to go? Are we live? We're good? Can you guys hear me? Because the reason why I'm like 10, 15 minutes late is I could not get my audio to get going here. But I think we good. I think we good. Looks like I see a bunch of people in the chat right now. So I think we're good. I'm also going to be eating a little bit because I've been running around all day. I'm a little like behind schedule. So I had to get home and shower and eat. So I'll eat while we go here. My day was hectic. TBH about it. It was pretty hectic. But we're good. We good. Looks like we got decent. We got Dylan, I see. So I'm seeing the people I recognize. Hia, Dylan, Maz, and I don't know some of these names. Maggie, Mr. Chang as usual. Appreciate you. You're always in there right away, straight away in there. So I'm gonna eat my food. I got my little meal preps. It's got chicken, salmon, carrots, asparagus, mushrooms, and cauliflower and broccoli. All right. So let's see. Can I explain the nitrogen and phosphorus cycle, like the whole thing? I mean, we can pull up a diagram. By the way, if it gets a little crazy, I might fall behind on some of the questions. So just like if I haven't answered yours and you feel like I've skipped it, just re-ask it in the chat. I'm going to pull this over here. We'll get a little screen with some cycles on it just in case we want to visualize some of this stuff. So by the way, this is open session for basically APES test tomorrow and bio quiz, a little quiz action. All right, so right now we'll go over the cycles. First, we'll do the cycles, nitrogen and phosphorus. And then Maz, I hear you on your ammonification. And I'll go over that real quick. Yeah, you should know ammonification, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So let's just do the phosphorus one. I'll pull this up. The phosphorus cycle is not too crazy. Well, let's just pull up a diagram real quick. Let me make my frame smaller. I don't need to be. You guys don't need to see me in that high of res. Get enough of my face in class anyway. You don't want to overexpose you. So let's take a peek at this phosphorus cycle. It's not a bad diagram here, I don't think. So really, when you think about this phosphorus cycle, just keep in mind, for the most part, it's going to be in the rock and mineral part of the cycle, in which it's sort of locked away in long-term storage. So it's a slow cycle in that sense. It's also going to be actually, I don't really need these right now. It's also going to be never in the atmosphere, except for it shows here atmospheric deposition of dust, so small that we're not really going to count it too much, so don't worry about that. Really, what you should know about the phosphorus cycle are those things. I wouldn't ask you to like label every single part of a cycle diagram. I wouldn't ask you to know every single detail of the cycle, but like the big things that we went over in class, for sure you should know. So for the phosphorus cycle, you should know that it's not in the atmosphere. It's a very slow cycle. It's primarily found in in insoluble forms in like rocks and minerals, sedimentary rock especially, locked away in a geological state. And then some of it is available for plant uptake as soluble phosphorus, which you see right here. I don't know if you guys can see my pointer. I gotta make my pointer more visible, actually, my mouse more visible. I'll do that later. But yeah, some of the phosphorus is available as to be uptaken by plants in the soil due to this weathering process where it gets into the soil. So that's kind of the basics of the phosphorus cycle that you need to know. You should know that it's a limiting factor for plants. And let's take a look at the nitrogen cycle. This is the one I use in class because this is probably the best one. That's a small one. Wow, it's low res, huh? Have a better picture? Why is that such a low res pic? And then the nitrogen cycle, the really key for the nitrogen cycle is basically the idea of the bacterial steps. So we need to know this, a couple things. One, nitrogen, hugely abundant in the atmosphere. That's where most of it is, in the atmosphere. But it's in an unusable form of nitrogen gas, N2. What has to happen is that nitrogen gas, in order to be able to be used as a nutrient for plants and other photosynthetic organisms, it has to become into a nitrate form, for the most part, nitrate, right, which is NO3. And for it to get to the nitrate form, this diagram's a little cluttered too, actually. I'm not the biggest fan. Where is that one that I had? You know what? I'm going to open up something here. Open up that PowerPoint because I know it's in there. Yeah, so if you're in bio, if you're in my bio class and you're listening in right now, this is just APES material. You need to know you do not need to know the cycles for bio. So for nitrogen cycle, I feel like that diagram I had in the PowerPoint was bad, was a high resolution. Here we go. Yeah, let's just do this. So the nitrogen in the atmosphere, to get to plants, it has to go through a couple steps. One thing it can do is it can be fixed by bacteria that live in a symbiotic relationship with legumes or other plants, where the bacteria lives in the roots of the plants. And so the bacteria literally pulls the nitrogen out of the atmosphere, and the plants are able to absorb it from the bacteria in their roots. The other step, the other way, is if you're a plant that doesn't happen to have that relationship with a bacteria like some plants do, you have to get it from the soil directly. And luckily for those plants, there are bacteria in the soil where you have nitrogen fixing bacteria, like you see in the bottom left corner of this diagram, that will take the nitrogen gas and do the first step of ammonification, which is what Maz asked. So ammonification is that first step where you have these bacteria take N2 gas and turn it into ammonium, NH4. Next step, that ammonium is nitrified through this nitrification process in 2 steps by bacteria. NH4 goes to NO2, and then NO2 goes to NO3. That's a double-step process. NO2 is nitrite, not usable by plants, but the next one, nitrate, is usable, and that's assimilated by plants. And then there's these other bacteria over here on the side that are the denitrifiers. They release nitrogen gas by using the nitrates as well. And so you close the loop with these denitrifying bacteria. So the nitrogen cycle is just heavily reliant on bacteria to get this cycle going. So that's kind of the gist of it. So I'm going to kind of move on here. Yes, I did get a haircut. Whoever asked that. Oh, Ethan, I did. Someone asked, Jordan, you asked to explain bioaccumulation and biomagnification. The best way to the difference is to look up bioaccumulation burst. There's a really good diagram that I always like to use for this one, and it's this one right here. So biomagnification is when you have like a contaminant that gets more and more concentrated up a food chain. So as you go from bottom trophic level to the top, the organisms get more and more toxin or contaminated. Accumulation is this idea of within one organism, over its life, it tends to get more toxins. So like the most toxin-filled organism would be an old apex predator in the environment, right? Because not only is it at the top of the food chain where it accumulates a lot of toxins, but it's also really old, so it's had a long life to accumulate more of those toxins. So the difference is accumulation is within one organism over its life. Magnification is across a food chain, up a food chain, more and more toxins. I cannot comment on whether my test for bio is going to be exactly the same as Chow's, Hajarian's, or Learner's. I can't make that. I don't know. I know that for me and Mr. Gann for apes, it's going to be, we cover the same stuff, but for bio, it should be similar, though. Thanks, Yosh. I love you too. Appreciate you. I don't know. Do I know you? I think I have a Yosh. I have to be honest with you guys, the names, not 100% down yet. I know it's been a month. Let's see. Sia. You will not have to label diagrams. I might show you one and ask you a multiple choice question about it, but you will not have to label diagrams. Dylan. See, I'm a little behind right on the chat right now. DDT. It just changes names. DDT changes to DDE. It changes its name once it's been metabolized by the body because it becomes a different compound, a different molecular compound. So it's DDT when it's sprayed as a pesticide, and then when organisms metabolize it in their body, they change the molecular structure of it through their metabolism, and it becomes DDE, so it's just a different name. Maggie, what causes the calcium and carbonate in water to react with each other to become limestone? You do not need to know that for this test. I'll just we won't go over it now because it's not going to be on the test. We'll get to that later when we talk about geology and the rock cycle a little bit more, but you can not worry about that too much. What's up, Amy? You are asking about the key for the review. Yeah, I posted it on Google Classroom. Check Google Classroom. I posted it on there. What else? I'm going to try and... Dylan, biomass. Yeah, biomass. Thanks, Maggie. It seems like a lot of people are answering these questions in the chat, which is awesome. So anytime I see one of you guys answer a question in the chat for another person, I'm always like impressed because you guys know it. Some of you guys know this stuff as good as I do, I feel like. All right, I'm going to kind of pull up to the front of the chat here. I might have missed some questions, so I'm at the front of the chat again, so feel free to ask a question if I didn't get your question. All right. All right, what do we got? Tyler, I might stream some games towards the end if I'm feeling too tired. After I've answered some questions for a little bit, I might play something. Aisha, is that your name, Aisha? Does the quiz cover viruses? Not in a lot of detail, but you should be able to know what the relationship is when we talk about the characteristics of life. That's what I would say. Ooh, Mr. Chang, you have a car show in Sunnyvale on Sunday? Oh, I'm going to be in San Francisco all day on Sunday, my bro. I'm not going to be able to make it. Viha, can I explain the 10% rule? Faux show. The 10% rule is essentially this idea that for every step in a food chain, so let's say you go from a producer to a consumer. So the consumer eats a producer. So a cow eats some grass. The cow is only going to be the energy that's in the grass, like let's say a handful of grass. There's all of the energy in this handful of grass. The cow eats that grass. Of the energy that's in the grass, only 10% of the energy actually gets into the cow. The other 90% is lost as heat in the process of converting it from the grass to the cow. Because the 10%, or because the second law of thermodynamics says that anytime you convert energy from one form to another, it's inefficient and you lose some as low quality heat. Right? So that's the idea of, on average, there's about a 10% transmission rate of energy from one step in the food chain to the next. Shrikant, if we get too smart, our brains will get conscious and take over our bodies. I think that already happened like a few million years ago in the evolutionary history. That's why we use 10% of our brains. It's a myth, by the way. You don't actually use 10%. Can you go through some key aquatic biomes? So for the let me just say about the aquatic biomes, what you need to know for the aquatic biomes is not every single detail for every biome, okay? Don't sit there and try and memorize that, the biome book, the aquatic biome book. Don't memorize every single thing there. What you should do is this. Know some of the characteristics or factors that determine an aquatic biome. So things like salinity, turbidity, depth, those kinds of things, the characteristics. Kind of like we talked about how for terrestrial biomes it's determined by precipitation and temperature. Aquatic biomes have some other factors that determine them. Things like the amount of salt, right? How deep the water is, how fast it's moving, how clear it is. And then look at the anthropogenic influences as well. Try and know some anthropogenic influences on some of those biomes. But don't have to memorize all the consumers and producers that each aquatic biome contain, right? Or every single characteristic. Just be a little more broad with your thinking on what are some anthropogenic influences that happen to these biomes, right? So human-caused issues, and what are the general characteristics that would determine what an aquatic biome. Okay, so don't spend too much time going crazy with all those things. Just get the gist. So Kyle, I answered your question, I think. Kyle, you asked about the aquatic biome book. I answered that. Dylan, are aquifers natural and percolation ponds man-made? Yes, aquifers are a natural occurring geological feature, aquifers, and percolation ponds are created by man. Maz, what do we need to know about biomes besides each biome's normal precipitation and temperature? Let's see, I would say you should know generally which biomes are the most productive. You should kind of know a little bit of what anthropogenic influences could occur on those. What else should you know about the terrestrial biomes? You should definitely know some of the key factors that determine how productive a biome is. Like temperature and precipitation are examples of those, nutrient levels. Yeah, but I'm never going to ask you specific things about a biome in terms of what species would you find here, or what species of plant would you find here. I would more ask you just general ideas of which biomes tend to have more species, which ones tend to be more productive, which ones would you find in certain regions of the world, right? Also think a little bit about what kind of factors aside from temperature and precipitation might influence a biome, things like the rain shadow effect from mountains, right? We talked about that kind of a thing. My God, you guys, there's a lot of people asking questions right now, so I apologize if I'm not getting to all of them, because we got 63 people watching, so that's the issue. There's just a lot of questions. Don't understand the concept. Primary production was a question. So Ethan, you asked about primary production. That was what we talked about today. We wrapped up today. So essentially what you need to know is that primary production is the amount of energy that is produced by the autotrophs, or the bottom level of the food chain, that can be transferred to the levels above. So it's the basis for creating an entire ecosystem full of life, is the amount of production that is at the bottom level. So it's the amount of energy that a plant can take from photosynthesis and transfer to chemical energy and pass on to the next consumer level. That is primary production. It can also be measured in grams in terms of the amount of biomass produced. Derek, yes, I can show the questions from today's debrief. Let me pull those up real quick. I gotta open up my Google Drive so that I can get to that. I'll pull up those questions from today's debrief. I'm kind of confused between temperate rainforest and tropical. So temperate and tropical, the main difference is, think about the temperate is going to have less consistent rainfall. So there are some dry periods in the year, whereas tropical rainforests tend to be humid and wet all year round more consistently. So while I'm talking here, I'll pull up the questions that I had from today's debrief for apes. Can you guys see that? Is that too small? You guys can read that, right? That's not too small. So those are the questions that we talked about today. Viha, I already explained the 10% rule. Anjali, what's up? I already explained primary production. I just did that. So I'm going to skip back down to the bottom. Let's see. I'm going to scoot down to the bottom again because I just want to keep up. Let's see. See, Kyle, do we need to know the zones of open oceans, lakes, etc.? You should know. I wouldn't ask you necessarily to label every single zone, but I think you should know where you'd find the most production, the most photosynthesis. Have a general idea of where you find the most life, right? Be more general on that one. You should know the certain locations of the biomes, I would say. Like, you should definitely know that you're going to find tropical biomes on the equator, and you're going to find desert biomes usually about 30 degrees north and south of the equator. Find tundras at like 60 degrees or maybe a little beyond 60 degrees north and south of the equator. Polar ice at the tips of the Earth. And then like deciduous forests and temperate forests you might find like in between those latitudes. What else? Shikar, BEF? I'm not sure what BEF stands for, actually. The PowerPoint, these PowerPoint presentations, they all should be on Google Classroom, actually. They should all be on Google Classroom, so let me see real quick. Posted. Actually, why don't I put something on right now? I forgot about that. Oh, link. Production. Most of the stuff should be in Google Classroom. Integrate material. So, it looks like there's still a bunch of questions coming in, so let me keep answering them while I work on this. So, like, some question was about when people die. Maggie, you're asking, when people die, does energy go to decomposers and scavengers or just scavengers? Energy goes to both. Yeah, energy goes to both. Viruses, no, viruses cannot maintain homeostasis. They're just basically the only characteristic of life that viruses have are the ability to reproduce, and they can evolve, and they have DNA. They have DNA. That's pretty much it. Can I explain the water cycle? The water cycle, I mean, in what way? Like, so the water cycle is basically a pretty simple cycle for the most part, unless you start talking about like how humans interfere in it. Like, water cycle has, the natural water cycle has evaporation. Geez, why is every image just super low quality? This one's better, I guess. So for the most part with the water cycle, the key things that you should kind of know, I think everyone knows the evaporation, condensation, precipitation kind of move. But remember, the water cycle also has some of these different things like transpiration, where it leaves from plants. So plants actually have water leave out of them and evaporate into the air. That goes into condensation and precipitates again. You have something called runoff, where water melts and runs down into bodies of water, like rivers, and into lakes. And then there's something called infiltration and percolation, where water seeps into the ground and enters underground reservoirs called aquifers. And those aquifers contain fresh water. Sometimes they leak out into the ocean, where it can continue to connect back to the cycle and be evaporated. But the problem is with that humans influence the water cycle, right, by building things like reservoirs when we dam up a river. We also put in aqueducts to move water from one place to another. We suck water out of aquifers to use to drink and for other processes. So we alter the natural water cycle by withdrawing water, especially from aquifers, underground water, which is a problem because when you pull water out from underground, the amount of water in that underground reservoir, so an aquifer is basically like a spongy rock, like a porous rock that has holes in it where water is in. When you pull the water out, the rock becomes weaker and the ground can crush it and subside. And that can cause a lot of problems. Not only does it make the aquifer smaller because you're like crushing it down, but it also makes the land above it unstable. And then also we just dump a lot of that water that we use down the sewage system, and that can go out to the ocean and dilute it. Or we can contaminate water with runoff from streets and storm drains, so we have non-point and point source pollution. That's a problem with water. Okay. All right, Shakar, the whole thing with the BEF is related to species richness and Eastern for ecosystem. Don't worry about that. That's not on this test. We're going to talk about species richness in the next. Biodiversity is our next unit. We'll talk about species richness then. Don't worry about that right now. Yes, Ari, your performance on the AP multiple choice is a good indicator. I would say they're equivalent difficulties. I would say they're equivalent in difficulty. Yeah, pretty much. I think so. I think it's pretty close. Amy, can I explain how energy is transferred from the food we eat to heat from our bodies? Yeah. So you eat some food, like right now, like I'm eating my food. What's going to happen to this food is when I eat it, so I eat this broccoli, it goes into my stomach. I have enzymes, which are these molecules that will break the food down, and I'll absorb the nutrients into my body. And I have to convert that energy into usable energy for me to move and think and do all that kind of stuff. But remember, in the process of converting the food energy, the energy in the food, to usable energy for me to move, the law of thermodynamics, the second law, comes into play, and I release a lot as heat. Some of it ends up causing me to move in kinetic energy and other kinds of things, but a lot of it's lost as heat, and that's how it happens. Jacob, is the test all multiple choice? Yes. 35 multiple choice questions, straight up. Jackie, the whole thing with biomes. So the biomes I've explained a couple times already in the beginning of this. You just need to know key characteristics. So, like I said, don't spend a long time trying to memorize every single feature of every biome. If you want to know a little more, just go back in the video to towards the beginning when I talked about the aquatic biome books. Dylan, you keep asking about the one bottle of water. Why? Because the bottle itself requires water to make the bottle, right? So the bottle needs some oil and some water in the process of producing it. It's just a fact of how it's made. Sanvi, what are the tertiary consumers? Tertiary consumer is the third level. So a tertiary consumer is 3 levels away from the producers. So let's say you have a level of producers, right? So you have grass. When the cow eats the grass, the cow is a primary consumer, right? Then let's say, I don't know, something eats the cow. That's a secondary, and then something eats that. That's a tertiary. So it's a third level. Jackie, can you explain how to connect the graphs with the biomes? Oh yeah, that's a good question. Let's do that real quick. So a climatograph. This is a good one. Let's just quickly look at a climatograph real quick. So let's just look at a simple example here. Oh my God, can these be any smaller? Like, can we get a decent sized image for once? Okay, whatever. We'll just look at this one. This one's fine. So you should be able to read a graph like this and then kind of get an idea of what biome it might be. Right, so look at this one. At the bottom, this is precipitation. This bar graph at the bottom is rainfall. So you can kind of see that from the beginning of the year, it's pretty low rain, and then it gets pretty wet in the middle of the summer, and then it decreases in rain. Temperature is the red line, so temperature goes up and then down. So when I look at this, I see, okay, its temperature ranges from -15 to 15, so it's pretty cold. So it's freezing like a good chunk of the year, and it's raining in the summer when it's a little bit warmer. So this might be something like, I don't know, a tundra maybe, where it's frozen. So you got to look at those two things. Whereas like another one you could look at that might be a little bit, what's a more obvious one? Let's look at like whereas you look at a rainforest climate graph. This isn't right. Not climate. Climatogram. That's like a temperate rainforest. So this would be like, this is a temperate rainforest. The reason why it's a temperate one is because you see a decrease in precipitation here in the summer. A tropical rainforest would have a little bit higher precipitation all the way across the year. But you can see the temperature remains relatively stable. And the rainfall is pretty high. Right, so I wouldn't ask you to like pick out the difference between two climatographs that are from biomes that are really close, but like if I give you like a desert and a rainforest, you should obviously be able to explain those. Moz, is 29 a good score on the AP multiple choice? What was it out of again? I think that seems pretty good actually. Remember the AP tests are hard. The questions are difficult, right? So I think if I did the math, I think for like on the AP test, you literally can get like a 70% or 75% and still get a 5. So keep that in mind. Let's see. What is that? Here, what is the difference between savanna and desert? Savanna is more closer to a grassland in that it's going to have vegetation pretty uniformly across it, whereas a desert will have mostly barren patches with not much vegetation. So a desert's going to have less precipitation than a savanna. And deserts typically, yeah, that's pretty much the main thing. Savannas tend to have more precipitation than deserts. Tanusha, what's up? How does percolation pond and aquifer work? So a percolation pond is a man-made pond that's sort of like you dig a big hole, and then when it rains, the rain can fill into that hole, and then the rain will slowly seep from the percolation pond down through the soil into the aquifer underneath and fill the aquifer up with fresh water. Right? Usually percolation ponds are important when you're talking about like a city where most of the ground is covered by buildings and pavement. So there's no chance for the rain to percolate into the ground. It just runs off into the storm drains and then is dumped out into a river or bay. So you never get a chance to fill up an aquifer in these cities. So what you do is you build these percolation ponds that grab that rain and allow it to seep into the soil and fill up the aquifer. So it's a man-made way of recharging aquifers when the natural process isn't happening. Jining, is that your name? Jining Lu. Is there any way to check what answers you got wrong for the multiple choice? Yeah. If you go into the AP Classroom and you click on View Results, you should be able to see which ones you got wrong and what the right answers were. It's there. Look around for it. Kyle, what do we need to know for each of the cycles? You should know, essentially you should know like the best thing to do is know their key features, their key characteristics. So like for nitrogen, know the bacterial steps and how it's involved. For phosphorus, know that it's non-atmospheric and that it has, most of it is in sedimentary rock in insoluble forms, not so accessible, that it's really slow, and that's usually a limiting factor for plants. Carbon, you should definitely know that it's the whole photosynthesis, cellular aspiration, plants, animals, atmosphere part of it. And then a little bit about fossil fuels, how it can get stuck in fossil fuels over time. You should, I think for the cycles, you really should have a JIT. The cycles are the one thing I think is important to know as far as like the flow of them. Yeah. You should be able to pretty much tell me the gist of the cycle. If I said, all right, explain the carbon cycle to me, you should be able to be like, all right, it starts in the atmosphere. Okay. It can go into the ocean through diffusion. And then like you should be able to tell me the locations it can go and through those processes. Like it's a lot, but you should really be able to do that. So you got to just review those diagrams, I think, is the best way to do that. A lot of times the best way to do it is just to sort of try and draw the diagrams from memory, and then when you get stuck, just go back and look at it and then draw it again. Viha, the owl pellets, do we have to make a general food web? Just the animals you found. Just the animals you found. Sanvi, can I explain the process of cellular respiration? Amal coming in behind that question with some answer. Let's see. Respiration is a complicated process that converts glucose into ATP. Yeah, basically, Sanvi, good. Amal, that's good. I wanted to be a little more general, though, less specific. And I appreciate you trying to answer the questions, Amal. Really, that's helpful for me because I get a lot of questions. I can't keep up. So, good on you. Yeah, so cellular respiration is the process in which an animal converts the energy in glucose that it's gotten from what it's eaten, or if it's a plant, from the glucose it's made in photosynthesis. So remember, cellular respiration happens in all living organisms, essentially. There's some that it doesn't, but for all intents and purposes right now, it happens in all organisms, plants and animals. Plants, they make their own glucose through photosynthesis. They take sunlight and they convert it to glucose using CO2 from the air. Then that glucose is used in cellular respiration to convert it to ATP. ATP is the molecule that powers living things. We cannot use glucose directly to power, to move, to carry out reactions, to do these different things that the body needs to do, these life processes. So cellular respiration takes that glucose that's storing the chemical energy and does a one-step conversion, not a one-step, sorry. There's a lot of steps involved in it, but essentially eventually converts it to ATP, in which it can use directly to move and do all the life processes. So cellular respiration is really required for life. Can someone tell me, Vina, can someone tell me what commensalism is again? Commensalism is when two organisms have a relationship. Oh, it looks like Amol and, yeah, Amol and Maggie, you nailed it. Good job. Thanks, guys. Amol and Maggie got that one. And Shikar also got it. Good stuff. Anisha, what are percolation ponds filled with? Is it just rainwater? Yeah, it's just rainwater. It's just rain. It's just rain. Later, Maz. Okay. Slowing down a little bit, which is easier for me. Sanvi, if 10% of energy is transferred, what exactly happens in 90%? As Jacob said, it's released as heat. It's a heat loss. Yeah, heat loss, low quality heat. That's right, Jai. Jai Gupta. Low quality heat. Heat is the trash. Is the trash of all energy. It should be ashamed of itself in terms of its quality. Kyle, in nitrogen cycles, can the nitrogen directly go to legume roots? Yes. It can go directly to the legumes because legumes have nitrogen-fixing bacteria inside of their roots, in these nodules in their roots, through a symbiotic relationship between the bacteria and themselves. Jining, what's the difference between gross and primary productivity and primary productivity? Primary productivity, so, well, no, it'd either be, you'd have to tell the difference between gross and net. Gross and net. So don't worry about, so gross primary productivity is just total amount of energy that's captured by plants, or not plants, but all autotrophs, all producers, the total amount of energy captured, and the net is the amount of energy that's transferred to the next level in the food chain, or the next trophic level, minus the amount that the plants take off the top for themselves to keep themselves alive. They skim some off the top to keep it for themselves, and then they pass the rest on. What up, Mr. H? How you doing? I see you got your picture of your pup, huh? In your profile pic? Nice. Good stuff, dude. Amrita, I went over bioaccumulation and biomagnification already. I used a picture. I used this picture right here. So this is the difference. So just take a look at this diagram. Basically, this sums it up. Bioaccumulation is over a lifetime of an individual. They get more toxins. Biomagnification is over the course of a food chain. So as you go up a food chain, you get more toxins. By the way, this diagram, like, I use this diagram because I like it a lot, but what the heck is this organism supposed to be right before the bear and the fish? Like, I'm assuming it's supposed to be a seal, but it looks like an iceberg. It looks like someone tried to draw an iceberg. It's like the worst looking seal. It's a seal without a head. Like, where's the head? And the tail. Where's anything? It's a slug. It's a slug. So it's a sea slug that is a secondary consumer. Or no, actually it'd be a tertiary because those are krill. Well, let's see. What other questions we got going on in the chat, in the chizat? Maggie, what's the difference between scavengers? Maggie, good question. What's the difference between scavengers and decomposers? The way I explained it in class was that a scavenger is an organism that will eat dead organic matter, something that has already died, and ingest it into its body, and that's where the digestion takes place, right? So it eats it, and then the enzymes are inside of the organism where it digests it. A decomposer is a little bit different. It actually excretes digestive enzymes outside of itself, and the digestion takes place out of itself, and then it absorbs the nutrients that way. So scavengers are things like vultures, shrimp, lobster, hyenas, right? These are all things that eat dead organisms. They come across the dead thing and they eat it. A decomposer is actually a whole other class of organisms. They're bacteria and fungi, which are their own separate branches on the tree of life. Whereas scavengers are mostly usually animals, which is their own branch on the tree of life. And so the difference is essentially the way in which they digest it and the kinds of organisms that do it. Yep, Kyle, yes. If you understand everything in the primary production PowerPoint, you are in the debrief, yeah, you're good to go. If you get that, you're good to go. What's up, Diamondtron? How you doing? Ziad. I haven't seen you around in a while, Ziad. You're at middle college right now? Nice. I hope you're enjoying that. Middle college. Rachel, are primary consumers always herbivores? Yes, they are. Because that's just one level above. So the only thing it can eat is the level below, and the only thing below are producers. Mr. Chang, I'm still in B111. In the B111, I forgot my B111 gang sign. Is that it? Yeah. The B111 gang, right? It still works. B111. I gotta get some water. I'll be right back. Thirsty. some of you know that I drink out of this Erlenmeyer flask. This is my water. 1,000 milliliters. I should have been drinking this from the start. When you're thirsty, man, there's nothing better than just cold water. For me, perfecto. Capiche? All right, what else we got? Hax whale. What's the difference between nitrogen fixation and nitrification? Good question. Nitrogen fixation is kind of the first step. It's when nitrogen goes from a gas form and is fixed into a living organism like bacteria, right? So bacteria will fix it. Nitrification is the preceding steps that turn it into nitrate that is available for assimilation into plants. So the first step is fixation. So bacteria will fix the gas in the atmosphere into like ammonia or into themselves. And then there are other next stages in which that is converted to ammonium through ammonification, and then into nitrite, and then into nitrate, which can be absorbed by plants. And the last two steps of that are nitrification steps. Yash, thanks for asking. My day is going really good. Today was good. It was busy, chock full of stuff. Man, I didn't have a break. Let's see, this morning I got up, I worked out in the weight room at school during first period because I don't teach. Did a little workout. When I was working out, I was trying to making all my appointments, like calling people. I got a lot done while I worked. I worked out and I got a lot of like stupid little scheduling things done. Then I taught, and then, which was good, did the owl pellet dissection, which was fun. And then what else? I ate an entire fish for lunch. I had leftover. Someone I know works at a Thai restaurant, brought me an entire fish that they had left over, and I ate it for lunch, which was delicious. I normally have pretty boring lunches, so it was a nice change. Then I got my hair cut after school. And then, I went and did some jiu-jitsu for an hour, and then got back, and now I'm streaming live. Thanks, man. Nicholas, can I define biomass? Yeah. Biomass is essentially the stuff that living things are made of. It's their mass. So biomass is anything that is a part of a living organism or was a part of a living organism. Kyle, should we know the information from all the previous chapters we read? Yeah, anything I assigned as reading from the beginning of the year until now is fair game. That's that's kind of the accompanying text to the stuff we teach in class and go over, and the assignments we do. So even though I don't check you for reading, and I don't like assign questions, you still should read them. And I'm still debating on that whole idea, the idea of just sort of making it a free read. We'll see how we do on this test. That'll be a good indicator. How do we do? How do we do on the first test? If it's not so hot, maybe we need to put in some like reading quizzes or something like that, reading checks. Rachel, you asked, what are the characteristics of life that viruses share with living things? They can reproduce, they can evolve, they have DNA, and they can respond to their environment. I think that's pretty much it. Star Mushy, what is an example of commensalism? So commensalism is when one organism benefits and another gets a neutral effect. So the classic example are like like I don't know, barnacles that hook onto whales. So it doesn't affect a whale at all. To have a single barnacle does not affect a whale. There are cases where a whale will just get covered, like its fin will just get like covered in barnacles, and it will actually like affect its ability to navigate and like actually move around the ocean and like weigh it down and like on one side or something. But a single barnacle would not really affect a whale. But the barnacle gets a free ride because it's a filter feeder, so as it moves through the water, it's able to eat. Quran, what is dead organic matter called? It's called detritus. Detritus. Guy, how many multiple choice and FRQ questions on the APES exam? Like the AP test? Like in May? Or on the one tomorrow? The one tomorrow, there is no FRQ. It's just 35 multiple choice questions, 34. The one in the spring is what is it? 80 multiple choice questions now and 3 FRQs. It used to be 104. 100 multiple choice, 4 FRQs. Now it's 80 multiple choice, 3 FRQs. Tyler, yeah. This is my own personal flask. No, I didn't get this from school. Why would I get this? You know what kind of chemicals that we use in these things at school? I would not be drinking out of a used Erlenmeyer flask. I got this for my own enjoyment and my own nerdiness and my own sort of personal use. Good luck, Mr. Chang. I hope you get in. I hope your application is accepted. SJSUPD. I hope you get in, man. Delia. Was it Delia or Delia? Delia. Delia? Delia. 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 What is the main takeaway from the owl pellet activity? The main takeaway is essentially one, that there's a lot of producers are required to create enough energy and biomass to sustain a top-level predator like an owl, right? When we drew those block pyramids and we really saw like 5,000 prey for one owl every year, right? Where in the textbook it shows like a nice triangular pyramid, which isn't as accurate. So the idea of just the scale, right? Just the magnitude and quantity, sheer vast quantity required to support something like an owl, which is a top-level predator. Right? And the idea that, and just sort of reinforcing the idea of the energy transfer, right? How inefficient it is from one level to the next. A lot is lost as heat. The second law of thermodynamics and the 10% rule. That's kind of the main takeaway, in my opinion, of that. It's just getting you to sort of see in a realistic sense just how much biomass is required at the base of the food chain to support the rest of the levels and transfer that up there. Karan, what is required to break chemical bonds? Enzymes, usually, or enough energy input into the system to break it. I don't know why you're asking that. It's not really going to be on the biotest. Yash, I'm confused on most of the concepts on the water jigsaw. What is conservation? Oh, okay. So, yeah, so essentially what you have is like a few different ways that we can conserve water. So conservation is just not reusing water, but just using less of it, right? So taking shorter showers, using water-saving appliances like dishwashers and toilets. those kinds of things. So conservation is just the idea of any method that you might use and that you could do to implement that would make you use less water overall. And then you have other methods where you can reuse the water, like gray water, which would be water that you used for one purpose that you might not want to drink, but could still be used for another purpose, like watering your lawn or something like that. So you can repurpose kind of dirty water for other purposes, in a way saving water. Rainwater harvesting, obvious, is what it sounds like. You have rain barrels that usually are attached to gutter systems on your house, so when the rain falls on your house, it funnels down these gutters and into these barrels. My parents actually had 4 giant rain barrels at their house that they would use to water their plants in the summer. So like they would capture all this rain, and then they would draw from those barrels to water their yard. And they lived in Southern California, right? So it didn't rain often. So when it did, you'd want to capture that water and then use it later when it was dry. And then desalination is essentially this idea of extracting the salt from water to create fresh water. So you just take, there's sort of 2 methods to do it, but the main method is you just take a bunch of water and you just heat it up. You just heat it up, you boil it, and the steam leaves. It leaves the salt behind, and the steam goes up, condensates, and you can capture it as fresh water. Really, really inefficient, though. Requires way too much energy right now, so it costs too much to be effective. But it is a technique that is used in certain situations. Zara, should we have the aquatic biomes memorized? You said we should know about the terrestrial biomes and so I mentioned this earlier in the stream. Basically, the aquatic biomes, you should just know some of the anthropogenic effects on those biomes, those aquatic biomes, and the general characteristics that we would use to identify a biome. So, for example, an aquatic biome. So, like turbidity, salinity, the flow rate of the water, the clarity of the water, depth, those different things. But do not sit there and memorize every single card of every single aquatic biome. That's too much and not necessary. Yash, I like that. Yes, this is a hydro flask. This is the OG hydro flask, original. It's the Hydro Erlenmeyer flask. Juliana, do we have to turn in the energy? No, you do not. That's just for review. I won't collect it. Anjali, sources and sinks. Did Amol answer your question? Let's see. A sink is somewhere that a chemical can be deposited. A source is where chemical functions. Yeah. So, for example, like a source is where more of the thing is emitted. So, like a carbon source would be where more carbon is emitted from it. A sink is where more carbon would be taken in by it. Mihir, what are some examples of water being unsustainable? Well, so water is, we're never going to have less water on Earth. We're always going to have the same amount of water because it's matter. Water is matter, and you cannot destroy or create matter. So we'll always have the same amount of water. It's just, it's possible to run out of fresh water in the sense that the fresh water might get stored in the salt water of the ocean or frozen in glaciers, and then it's not really usable. So if we use too much fresh water, if we use it faster than it can be replenished through the natural process, we may run out of and use the fresh water unsustainably. That's possible. Yvonne, can you explain more on the laws? Which laws are you talking about? Or is there a mole coming in to the rescue again and hitting it with the thermodynamic laws? Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? The first law is that energy, you cannot create or destroy energy. That's the first law of thermodynamics. So the amount of energy in the universe is the same amount of energy that's there now as it will be 100 million years from now and it was a billion years ago. It can but it can be changed into different forms. And the second law says that when you take energy from one form and turn it into another, you lose it as heat, right? Some energy is lost as low quality heat, and is not usable. So that's the law of the second law. Mr. Jones, if you have time after live chat, could you check out a study guide that Viha and I made to make sure that we've got everything down? Sure, I'll take a peek. You could link it in the chat too. Can you share links in the chat? Is that possible? Okay, things have died down a little bit. Looks like I have answered most people's questions. We doing all right with the questions? It kind of died down a touch. Kind of a mad rush there for the first. What have we been on for about an hour? A little over an hour. What's up, Nyanika? Back online, back for the new year with these office hour sessions. How are you? Things going good? Anyone have any other questions? What time is it? It's almost 9 o'clock. Did you send me that study guide? I'd be curious to take a peek at it. All right. It has been over an hour, so I think we've done our fair share of questions at this point. So I appreciate everyone's questions, a lot of good questions. I appreciate everyone who was attempting to help people in the chat with their answers. That's always cool to see. That's always nice. This background picture, this is a picture from my summer. This was in Croatia. This is like an island off the coast of Croatia. This is an old monastery here. They're actually on this island. There are these like deer, these reindeer. It's a herd of reindeer that live on this island. And what they do is they will swim. They'll swim from island to island. And this is ocean water, so if you're in a boat, you can see like this herd of reindeer like swimming from one island to the next. But this was actually a pretty chill spot. Yeah, you should definitely drop by, Nyanika. That'll be great. I'll see you there. Star Mushy, can you describe autotrophs versus heterotrophs? Yeah, I mean, autotrophs essentially make their own food, right? They produce glucose through photosynthesis. So autotrophs do photosynthesis. They take light energy and turn it into glucose, which is the food source that they can use to power themselves, right, and do cellular respiration and keep themselves alive to make ATP. Heterotrophs can't do photosynthesis, so they can't make their own glucose. So they eat things that have glucose in them, and then they use that to do their own cellular respiration and make ATP to power themselves. Amol, you got it backwards, dude. You swapped it, Amol. You swapped that one. You were on a good streak. You were doing good. You swapped it. What computer do I have? Deef. This is a computer I built. Oh my gosh. I first built it back in 2011 or 2012. I built it. I bought all the parts to it, assembled it. I've updated it recently. I put in some new parts, put in a new processor, a new graphics card in the interim. Actually, a new motherboard too. Actually, this whole thing has been retooled about a year ago. But yeah, I forget all the parts to it. I forget everything I have in there now. I kind of forgot. What else we got? Bum, 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 bum. I don't see the link. Yeah, I don't see the link here. Where did you post it? It didn't pop up for me at least. Can you email me the link? And then I can maybe put it in the chat. I don't know if people are allowed to post links in the chat. That might be a disabled feature. I don't know. What's up, Ryan? Thought Autotrophs made their own energy. Yeah, I kind of covered that. Maggie, in the aquatic food web in the study guide, what is the fourth level called? Oh, it's called quaternary. Yeah, Amal, you got it right. Quaternary. Quaternary. Yvonne, can I explain more on eutrophication? Yeah, so eutrophication is essentially this thing where you have like excessive nutrients that get into a system, an aquatic system. Usually it's nitrogen or phosphorus because those are the limiting factors in an aquatic environment. So things like algae, they are limited, their growth is limited because they don't have enough nitrogen and phosphorus. And so what ends up happening is when you introduce a lot of nitrogen or phosphorus, the algae will then explode. They'll grow really, really fast because now they don't have that limiting factor anymore. And so their growth can just explode. Right? Now that's a problem because they'll grow, they'll explode, and then what happens? When anything that's alive, eventually it dies. And then the algae will die. When they die, they get decomposed by the decomposers in the water. And because now there's a ton of dead algae, the decomposers explode in growth and start decomposing like crazy. But it turns out that decomposition, that process, requires oxygen. So they absorb all the oxygen out of the water to do the decomposition, which makes the oxygen and the levels in the water go way down. And then all the things that need oxygen in the water, like fish, start to die. And then you have what's called a dead zone. That's essentially eutrophication. Another thing that can happen is like the algae can bloom and explode and cover the surface of the water and block the light. And so the plants that live at the bottom die. And they get decomposed and the oxygen's used up as well. You shared the doc with me? All right. Let me pull that up. What did you call it? What's the name? Oh, there it is. APES Unit 1 Study Guide. Do you have a link to this? Or is it shared? I'm going to turn link sharing on for it and share. So I'm going to have it so that anyone with the link can view it. And then I'm gonna see if I can. Let's see if I can post this here. Put this in the chat. Okay, got it. There, I just posted the link in the chat. Let me know if that works. Let me take a look at this. Let's pull this up here. Wow, 11 pages. This is not bad. Nice length to it. So you got stuff on ecosystems. Okay, good. A little bit of the symbiotic relationship stuff. Ecosystems, you may have this, major types. Good. terrestrial biomes. Okay. Good temperature and precipitation, literally. Okay. Nice. Don't forget to add don't forget the rain shadow effect here. That's an important idea where you have like it's not just altitude, it's blocking the rain. It's another good thing to add there. Aquatic biomes. Yep, good. You might want to add a little bit of like some anthropogenic effects to the aquatic biomes, like or human impacts. That's something that's an interesting thing you might want to think about. Then you got climatographs, nice. Just a bunch of them. Cycles, nice. Water cycle, good, good, good. Carbon cycle. Good. Nice, nice. Good, good. Nitrogen cycle. Nice. Good, 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 good. This is literally, these are good. This one's good. This nitrogen cycle one you nailed. Really good detail. Good stuff. Phosphorus cycle. Nice. Primary productivity, food chains, food webs. Nice. Very good. This is very comprehensive. I think this is good. Nice. I like it. I think you got most of what you need here. I'm impressed. Nice. Let's see. Let me answer some questions here. Let's see, Guy. Yeah, about the same difficulty. Yeah, the AP test on the AP Classroom is about the same difficulty, I would say, as the one I'm going to dole out tomorrow. Maggie, why do top-level consumers have more impact than producers if removed, if producers make the energy? It's a good question. I mean, if you removed all the producers, yes. But usually you can't remove all of them, right? So the idea is like why, because there's so few top predators, every one that you remove has a bigger impact, right? If I remove one tree, not that big of a deal. If I remove, potentially if I remove one apex predator, it might have a bigger impact, right? So of course, yes, if you didn't have any producers, that's a problem. But typically, the top level consumers are so small in number that any removal of a given set of them is going to have a major impact on the whole food chain. Because if you remove the top level consumers, then the next level below has less predation on it, and their levels will increase, and they'll eat and consume the level below that, which will decrease, which will cause a whole imbalance to happen in the food chain. Ayush. So desalination, just over glorified distillation, pretty much. Yeah, it's basically just you're distilling water by evaporating it. Yeah, you basically have a still where you evaporate water and then capture the condensation. It's just on a massive scale. But it turns out that boiling water and turning into steam is no joke in terms of its energy requirement. And so it's pretty inefficient. Nice. Looks like Mahir and Amol were getting at that point that I just mentioned. That's good. Amy, Amy, the questions, it's going to be 25 multiple choice questions and one short answer A-level question at the end. Ayush, do we need to know what we learned today for the test tomorrow? You do indeed. It'll be on there in some way. Kyle, you should be able to see. Some people are having trouble like finding where to see their results on AP Classroom. Is it not intuitive? It's definitely available. Let me look. Unless I messed up and I didn't oops. What is this? Okay, what's going on here? Of course, now I don't even know how to log into AP Classroom. Dude, I'm not a biggest fan of AP Classroom format, to be honest. It's not easy for me to figure out. Like, I like that they have some of the things about it, but its layout. It takes me a while. It's taking me a while to actually figure this out. And that's not even taking me to the right spot. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Now I'm in. So let me go to this. Unit 1, progress check, multiple choice. It looks like, at least for periods, students will see scores and feedback as they're available. Yeah, you should be able to see your feedback. It's hard for me to say because I don't see it from your perspective, so I don't know exactly how to check that. So someone might have to help you with that, man. I don't know. I'm sorry. Caitlin, which type of organism would have the least impact if it was removed? If it was a single organism, it would probably be like one single like producer probably. I did like your study guide here. It was very nice. I'm a fan. Thank you for making that. I might actually keep that for another years. Other years next year. Miranch, this is a combo. It's a combo of freshmen and junior seniors. All the apes people jumped off a little bit earlier. I felt like they were on. No, most of it was apes in the beginning, back when I started the stream. No AP bio here, just apes and bio. This applies for GAN. This applies for GAN. Mr. Chang, am I up for some video games before you jump off? Maybe. Maybe it's 9 o'clock. Maybe I'll play just like a short, like a half hour. It has to be quick. When is the pig practical? That's at the very end of the, it's like in May. Don't worry about it now. It's a long time out. Nicholas, how does light affect primary productivity? Well, essentially light is the source of energy, right? So in order to be productive, to produce, for the autotrophs to produce their energy and their biomass, you have to have light. Photosynthesis requires light. It takes light energy and turns it into glucose. So without it, you're not getting anything. If there's no light, there's no life. That's my motto. That's what I'm gonna get a shirt that says that. No light, no life. Don't worry about mitochondria converting proteins and all that stuff. That's beyond it's beyond where we're at right now. It's not necessary for this unit. So, okay. All right. I don't know. What are we doing? How do we think? Is this the end of it? What do we think? Should I place a little bit of vidya games, as they call them these days? Let's just quickly save something. Great sheets. Nope, you don't need to turn in nothing. No review. Anytime I hand out review, I typically don't collect it, unless for some reason it's different. I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay. Ayush, dude, you are. I like that you're so all about you're all about asking like really interesting questions. Can't we store ATP? Okay, so one of the things that I really like is when students ask. It takes me way off topic all the time, but like I do like when students ask like theoretical questions about anything we're talking about, because it makes me have to think. Because most of the time when I'm teaching, it's like this is stuff that I know, and it's like I'm just sort of teaching something I know really well, and I have to think, but not in like really crazy new ways. But then when a student asks me like a question that is sort of off a little bit, I have to like sit there and be like, okay, let me rack my cerebral cortex, my prefrontal cortex for this information, see if I can put this together. Can't we store ATP by freezing it? You can store most things by freezing it. The problem is, I don't know if you can freeze. You can't really. ATP is so short-lived. You couldn't really freeze it, right? ATP kind of breaks apart like within about probably on the scale of seconds. I'm not really sure. Dylan, could you look at mine? Look at what? Look at yours. What? I'm not sure what you're referring to when you say, "Can I look at yours?" Mirage, I should play some Minecraft. I haven't played Minecraft in a while. What is the game nowadays? Is it still Fortnite, or is it now shifted to Minecraft a little bit more? Minecraft could be a cool game to get back into. I played it a while ago when I was younger. I haven't played it in a while. Is it different than it used to be? Is it different? Is it new? League of Legends? Absolutely not. League of Legends is one game that I cannot play because I am not nearly good enough, and the skill level of that game that requires is pretty high. Dylan, you'd have to share. Can you share the document with me? Share your study guide with me. I'll take a peek. No Fortnite. Yeah, I think I'm kind of done with Fortnite, if I'm being fair about it. I played that for a little bit, but I'm kind of done with it. But I'd have to download Minecraft. Is Minecraft free? Is it free to play? F2P? $26.95. Dude, I'm not made of money, man. But I thought wait, I think I have Minecraft. I think maybe what I'll do is get Minecraft set up next time, because I know I have it somewhere. I just have to figure out how to do it. Maybe I'll play Minecraft on the next stream, because it'll be a more chill stream. Today's was pretty hectic in terms of just the chaos of questions just coming at me left and right, and it kind of drained my energy a little bit. And I don't know if I'm down to get through all that right now. You freeze the entire cell, then extract the already frozen ATP. I don't know if even freezing ATP is going to stop it from just spontaneously breaking apart and losing its energy. Because ATP is a molecule that's like almost like a spring. So when the mitochondria takes the glucose and converts it through a series of steps, what it's doing is taking that energy, and then it's basically taking ADP, which is adenosine diphosphate, so it has like these two phosphate groups on the molecule, and it's turning it into ATP and adenosine triphosphate, and basically kind of just shoving on that third phosphate. But that third phosphate is being repelled by the other two. It doesn't want to stay on there. So it's like this spring, and it just wants to like explode apart. And so once you have enough energy to just put that third phosphate on there, it's going to just break apart pretty quick. So the cell has to use it almost instantly. But I mean, maybe, I don't know. But why would you want to, the problem is, why would you want to store ATP? You can't really, you can't eat it and use it. It has to already be inside the cell for it to be usable. If you have an account, download free. Well, so you can. Oh, let me see. Let me do this off screen real quick. Let me see. Maybe I don't. I could. Who knows? I could have gotten Minecraft back in the day with an account that I don't remember how to log into. I mean, it was a long time ago. Mirage, what kind of power are you talking about? I ain't got no power. In my opinion, are viruses living or not? I would classify viruses as living. I would put them on the side of life, because they here's the thing. They hijack cells, inject their DNA, and get the cell to make more copies of them. And then those copies fill the entire cell, and the cell explodes, expelling more viruses. Right? Like that's not a simplistic thing. That's not like just like a rock that just sits there and does nothing. So in my opinion, viruses are alive because they do some crazy stuff, even though they aren't made of cells and they can't really reproduce on their own and they require a host. But in my opinion, they're doing some really gnarly things and they've been around for a long time and they evolve. So yeah, they're living. I think, in my opinion, if something can evolve, it's living. So even just like a packet of DNA is living. So, yeah, I think they're alive. I'm thinking they're alive. And I don't care what the scientific community says about it. Okay? In my opinion, viruses, they're living. Okay? They're living things. You guys talking about the heat death of the universe? Wait, was it in bio that I got off on the tangent about heat death? Or was that apes? We kind of talked about the same thing at the same time in bio and apes. This idea of the law of thermodynamics and the heat death of the universe is super interesting. The idea that, like, because of the second law of thermodynamics, like all energy, right, in whatever form it is now, is will eventually be it's going to be converted from one form to another and eventually turn into heat, and everything will just be just this low quality heat energy, and the universe just dies in a heat death. It's such an interesting concept. No problem, Jeaning. One more question for me. The Owl Pellet Lab, do we need to draw everything or just the animals we found? Just the animals you found. That's it. That's all I want you to draw. What's up, Sandy? Hey, nice to see you again. I hope this year's going well for you. Okay, let me see. If I can't get this Minecraft thing to work, I think I'm gonna call it a night. But if I can, I'll pop onto Minecraft for a sec. Just need to set up a login. I already have a login. Let me see if I have a Mojang account. Mojang. I might not even remember the login info. That's not right. I don't know. Shoot. Let me see if this works. Jacob, please play Dead by Daylight. I don't know what that game is. Dead by Daylight? Never heard of it. I think I'm gonna play Minecraft though. I feel like Minecraft is better for an apes teacher, right? Of all games, huh? What game would be make the most sense for apes and a bio teacher to play? Probably Minecraft, right? Because you're well, no, not really, not really. I mean, just because you're mining. That's about it. There's got to be other like Spore. Dude, I played Spore. No wait, was Spore the one where you like a creature? You start out as like a very basic life form and you evolve your creature over time. Dude, that game was pretty trash. I remember. I was not a fan of that. Like I remember back when it was first gonna come out, me and my friend were like, "Dude, this is gonna be the best game ever! Like, it's gonna be so fun." And then I was just let down big time by it. I have played Plague Inc. before. Borderlands 3. The original Borderlands was interesting just because of the graphics, the cartoon, like the thick border, the thick black border to the the style, the artistic style. It looks like I may never have had an account because at least not with the email that I currently use. So yeah, yeah, don't have it. You don't have it. I may have to set up an account then for Minecraft. Minecraft. Iris, what's up, Iris? You got a question? Asked before, but how many questions? It's gonna be 34. 34 multiple choice questions. They're gonna be similar in format and difficulty and content to the ones on the practice progress check. William, what are you're just throwing out the you're throwing out the what the ocean acidification equation just for fun, just tossing it out there for fun, for giggles. Calcium carbonate plus carbon dioxide plus water equals calcium and carbonic acid. The Owl Pellet Lab is due Friday for me. And this, by the way, Mirage, this is a 1 liter. It's a 1 liter flask. It's just standard 1 liter Erlenmeyer flask. Pyrex, classic Pyrex, lab use, high quality. Try my dad's email. Okay, my dad essentially does not know how to use a computer at all. My dad got an email address about what, 4 days ago, probably. He got it. It was funny. He got an email address like maybe a couple months ago, and my mom was like, "Hey, your dad got an email address." I was like, "Okay." So what? Like, should I send him emails and stuff? Like, that's not how we communicate. Yeah, my dad is not a computer guy. He's not. He doesn't know anything about comps. So I think the whole Minecraft sitch is going to be a another day kind of situation. I got to look into it a little bit. I may have to create a new one, but then I have to think about, do I really want to spend $26 on another game? So we will see. Drink from a test tube. That's such a small like test tube is not enough. I need giant. I need giant quantities of water. You know what? I'm gonna play just a little bit for a little bit. I'm gonna play a game I've been playing because I haven't played it in a while. Let's try. Let's try. Although it might have changed. They were telling me that Destiny 2 is transferring over to Steam. I just started playing this game. it's got to update. Let's see if we can play this for just like not even a half hour. I can't really be doing this too long, to be honest. Yeah, maybe like I'll give it just a touch. Maybe do like one mission. One mission. I honestly haven't played video games in a while. It's been like at least 3 weeks since I picked it up. I think it's just because school started, like got back to work, so it's like you don't have as much time. A little slow on the loading. Probably makes more sense to come onto this side. Okay. I don't even remember where I left off. That's the problem. That's the problem. What did I get? Some weapons here? I don't even know. Okay. Sure. Alright, I forget. I got to remember what I was doing in this game. Maybe make this a little smaller. I don't know what size it makes sense to be. Anyway, so what was I doing? I had like complete mission of Garden World, Warmind. Oh, I was doing the Curse of Osiris mission. That's right, on Mercury. Well, let's go to Mercury. Mercury. Ryan, yeah, this is a multiplayer. It's like it's basically an MMO in certain regards. It's kind of repetitive, but it's fun. It's a fun little game. I'm not a hardcore gamer. Like I don't get like deep into it and like, you know, spend hours a day playing these games. But this one's fun just because it's relatively straightforward. There's a lot of progress. Like you can like, there's a lot of progress involved in it. But yeah, I don't know, it's multiplayer. Irene, just to be sure, water is not sustainable. Fresh water. Fresh water is not necessarily a renewable resource because you can potentially like use it up over time and turn the fresh water into salt water. All right, so where is this mission? Hold on. Let me. I feel like I'd be better off right here for you guys. Oh no, I gotta go down that way. Actually, I gotta go this way. I gotta go. I'm kind of like in the middle of this mission, and like the storyline. Honestly, I'm not able to follow it. What is this? Oh, loot. Yeah, I'm not able to follow the storyline very well, and I feel kind of guilty. I'm not like I don't really pay attention to the storyline. I just like to. I just like to play the game. I just like to shoot stuff. That's about it. I'm pretty much like a. What would you call it? Basic. Pretty basic when it comes to the game. The blue circle is basically just like a portal that takes you into like a little chamber area. What's the point of the game? I mean, I don't know. What's the point of any game? I honestly don't know the point of the game. I'm just playing it, and I'm following along with the missions that it's telling me what to do and what to kill and where to go. And that's fun for me. But I mean, the storyline, I'm sure there's like, I'm sure if I was like really into the story, like, oh, I gotta get into the story of this game and like feel like I'm like saving the world and I'm part of this lore of the story, I could do that, but I also can choose not to do that. And that's kind of the way I've gone with this one. But the graphics of this game, like I think the way this game looks is amazing. I think the gameplay is pretty decent as far as first-person shooter. So, but I'm basic. I'm basic, you know. Deploy Sagira. So you've got this little like thing that like does stuff for you. I don't even know what it is. It's like a little thing that's like an artificial intelligence thing that floats with you, and it helps you navigate things. It can like hack into computers. Again, I don't know. What's up, Rage Quit? Uh-oh, I'm gonna have to kill something here. I don't even know what's going on. Okay. I should play Civ 6. Civilization's actually a pretty fun game. That might be a fun game to play. Jacob, you're all about the Dead by Daylight, dude. I'm not 100% sure about that game. I'd have to look into it. Legacy, another one from Minecraft. I feel like I need to do a poll of which games are people want to see played, and then we could go that route. Because I'm really kind of like in a place now where I don't have a game that I'm stuck on playing. So if it's Minecraft, it could be Minecraft. Socket. What's up, Socket? I chose Hunter. I'm playing a Hunter in here. All I know is that the game that we pick cannot be World of Warcraft, because that game, I was addicted to that game from the age of about 16 to 24. Like a solid 8 years of my life. were devoted to that game, and I'm not going back. I can't go back. It's too much. And when they did that World of Warcraft Classic, that new game that came out, oh my god, like it gave me like fever. Like felt like I felt like an alcoholic, where you just like someone has a drink in front of you, and you're like, oh my god. Legacy for a Minecraft server. Apparently, Mr. Chang has a Minecraft server as well. Seems like Minecraft might be the route. It's a relatively simple game, right? Open world style. What happened? See, I'm not even paying attention, dude. I gotta talk to someone. I don't really want to talk to someone. I want to complete a mission. That was too short of a mission. Warmind on Mars. Where's Mars at? Here. Recommended power level 310. What's my power level? My power level is 263. I'm not at the recommended level. So maybe I'll just go and do that one. Talk to Ikora Ray in the city. I guess I gotta go into the city then. Okay. What's MCM? Mirage MCM. Minecraft Monday? Is that what that is? Minecraft Mondays? Smash Bros. I actually do have Smash Bros, but I don't know how to hook up my how do I hook up a Switch to stream? Doesn't seem like an easy job, easy task. Viha, how do you check your score for AP Classroom quiz? You literally looked everywhere and I can't find it. You know, I don't know. I should figure that out, huh? Did you Google it or something like that? The problem is I can't see what you see on your screen. Like I don't see it from the student view. I tried looking into it, I couldn't figure it out. Ryan, did you figure it out? There's a tab called results. Yeah, like it's a tab situation, right? So you click on the progress check-in, and there's like 3 tabs at the top. One of them says results, I think, right? And you click on that one. But the problem is it doesn't matter if I look because I don't see it from your side. I can only see it from like the teacher's side. Speak to Zavala. Nightfall? I get Nightfall access.
Based on your fire team's outstanding performance in the last strike, I feel confident we're ready to reactivate the Nightfall strike. Nightfall is high-risk, high-reward strikes. They're no cynic stroll of weak movements. We lose guardians on these missions. Good news. I refuse to run my Nightfalls with anything but
Okay.
the strongest, most experienced people. So naturally,
These are.
I need you to assemble a team of
I don't want to do these right now. Although I can do my reputation increase. But I don't want to do these right now. I just wanted to finish up that other mission. Yeah, Viha, you looked in AP Classroom. Go to full assignment list and there should be a tab called results.
I refuse to allow us to come this close to victory and fail. Sagira's sacrifice has to mean something. You know we're Panopti's wings. does Osiris. He will try to fight it on his own, and without our help, he will die. Once again, only she could open the gateway. She was our key. Osiris may have taught me everything.
Okay, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't listen to you. I can't do it. I don't have the attention span. That's my problem, is I don't have the attention span for games with like a lot of like lore and storyline. Like to listen to people talk. Like it's just not happening for me. Well, I gotta look up, where do I go now? I gotta go to Mercury. Mercury. The planet closest to the sun. That is correct. Public event. Back to Mercury, okay. You figured it out, Viha? Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. So you go to full assignment list, and there should be a tab called results. Okay. So now whenever anyone asks me, any student's like, hey, I can't find my results. Now I know. Okay. So I'm going to play this last mission, and then I'm going to call it a night because I shouldn't be being super irresponsible right now. Because I have still actually have a lot of work to do when I think about it. Because I have to do... I have to make a sub plan for Monday because I'm not going to be here on Monday. And then what else do I have to do? Oh yeah, I haven't even finished making the PowerPoint for apes that we need on Tuesday. Oh, and I haven't planned that far ahead for apes. In bio, I have to come up with the activity for Monday. Yeah, I should not be playing video games, but I am. Because I'm irresponsible. I do like this game that you can just literally, like, there's no such thing as too far down. Because you have, like, this triple jump thing. So as long as you jump right before you land, no fall damage. No fall damage. I think that's where I should go. What? Spin back out. Where am I supposed to go here? Nah, Mr. Chang, I cannot chat tonight. I got too much on my plate. Dang, dude, this guy's full of life, huh? The cool thing is this thing's got a sword. Got a sword. Dude, where are you going? Oh, jeez. Oh, that hurts you, actually. Should not be in there, huh? What's up, Joshua? I should obviously play Minecraft. Okay. There's a lot of votes right now for Minecraft. That might be the one to go to. Because that's a pretty chill game to play, right? If I'm trying to answer questions on a stream, like on like an office hours. Like a game like this, for example, there's really no way I could play this while trying to answer questions. Like, it just requires too much focus. But a game like Minecraft's a little chiller, huh? So I need to find a chill game that allows me to enjoy. I want to enjoy the game. Like I want to have fun playing it. But it also shouldn't be like a huge time commitment kind of game. It should be easy for me to like be distracted while playing it, like answering questions. And obviously it should be maybe a little bit entertaining for people to watch as well. But that's like, they're going to be different for different people because everyone has slightly different preferences for the games they like. Where is this? Oh, it's over here. I missed it. Oh, there it is. Alright, I'm going to play this mission. And then I'm out. I'm calling it quits. Oops, get out of here. Hunt down and destroy Panoptes. Panoptes. Actually, this might be the last mission on this line of missions. You might be having to fight the boss. So what are you gonna do? Okay. Why did you just... Okay. See ya.
Gotta get to Panoptes before Osiris does. Without Sagira, if he dies.
I also like this game because it's got like trippy sort of themes to it. Wait, is this the gun that I want? Which one's the long range gun? Oh, this one has like auto aim a little bit. Aim boost.
Infinite forest. It's huge. I never thought of it. When the fate of the world's not at stake, can we come back?
Jeez. Oh my god. Oh shoot, I almost just died right then and there. What's up, Shadow Nova? You got this one? It's free. And I'm always a sucker for free games. It's actually a surprisingly good game for being free. But apparently it wasn't always free, right? Originally you had to pay for it, so maybe they made a lot of money off there. What's the button for... There it is. Alright. This game is also a little bit arcade style, in my opinion. Like the old school arcade shooters, where it's just like you versus just shooting and killing a ton of enemies. Something that's also fun is to just straight up decide to go sword play. The sword is so overpowered. It's like a one-hit kill always. Avinza, what GPU do you have? I have... It's so weird. Like I kind of forgot for some reason. I know what it is. It's a GTX 970. Is that right? GTX 970. It's not a bad. I don't have a bad setup, to be honest. Like it's a good setup. I recently updated the CPU as well. Okay, I'm going to switch back. These things are actually really annoying. These little like flying guys. Because you have to hit them like right in the dead center to do any like legit damage. What's up, Ryan? Came for apes? Dude, it's still apes. My priority is answering your questions about apes or bio or whatever. Actually, my priority is answering any question you have about anything. Or saying, I don't know. Because there's a lot that I don't know. But I do know that these things are annoying. Oh, damn, dude. Guy's got like 2 giant knives and is just absolutely jacked, and yet I can like stab him with a dagger and do more damage. What's up, Daniel? Is the test going to be multiple choice? Absolutely. It's going to be 34 multiple choice questions coming straight at you. It's going to be relatively similar to the progress check on AP Classroom in terms of style and difficulty of questions. No FRQ. I hope this mission isn't too long.
We're only going to get one chance at this. If we lose Panoptes here, we won't be able to find it again.
Well, then we won't lose Panoptes. Panoptes. That's kind of a cool name, Panoptes. Oh, here he is. Here's Panoptes. All right. Let's see what he's gonna do. Kill these things first, huh? These annoying guys. These guys have giant, like, heads, so they're actually relatively easy to kill. Oh, dude, get out of here, bro. There's a ton of guys over there. See ya. Oh, this gun doesn't have good range. Okay, gotta get closer. Do we need to know the specifics of each biome? You don't need to know the exact like temperature ranges that it goes throughout and the exact level of precipitation it has throughout the year, but you should know general trends. Like you should definitely know if I showed you some climatographs. Remember those graphs that I showed in class and that you saw on the biome viewer activity? Like if you see those, like if I give you one, you should kind of give me an idea of what it is. Like if I show you a rainforest climatograph, it should be clear to you that's a rainforest because of just the high level of temperature and precipitation throughout the year. But don't memorize like the exact amount of precipitation on a yearly basis. You know? Keep it more simple. Immune still. You know? And definitely not species. I wouldn't ask you to memorize like the species you might find. This isn't a zoology class, so you don't need to know that level of detail. Or that specific. Arushi, what is metabolism again? So metabolism is essentially chemical reactions that take place in the body. So like, for example, photosynthesis is a kind of metabolism. Cellular respiration is kind of metabolism because they're converting energy from one form to another. So it's a reaction. So any reaction or any process that takes place inside of a living organism is considered metabolism. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Osiris and Zadira came to the forest to stop the Noctis, but they're not here. We are.
Okay, looks like we're about to fight Panoptes, huh? Okay. I might die. This game doesn't really penalize you for dying that much. You just start at the beginning, at the respawn point. So like death is not that big of a deal in this game. And I die a lot. Especially on boss fights because they're hard. Dimensional analysis? Don't talk to me about dimensional analysis, my dude. I don't even know how that works. It's Destiny 2. It's Destiny 2. I never played the first one. There's a never-ending influx of these guys. Uh-oh. Okay. So I'll go through here. What? Okay. I'm just jumping around. Pick up arc charge. Okay, now what? Just tell me what to do, man. Uh-oh. Oh, I just take out its eye. I am. Got it. Okay. That's easy. I can follow your commands. I should make a raid party on this game. Yeah, I don't know anyone that plays this game, though. And I haven't even like joined a clan or anything yet. I've basically been playing this game, even though it's an MMO, I've basically been playing it as a single player mode. Because I don't have time to like be in a clan and that kind of stuff. And none of my friends really play this game. I don't really have that many friends that play video games regularly. I think at my age, it's kind of, there's just too much life going on. Although Mr. Penev is a video game enthusiast. He just likes League of Legends, which is kind of not my forte. We've played some games together before. Huh? We've played some games on the Office Hours live streams last year. We played Counter-Strike for a while together. We had fun with the Battle Royale mode on Counter-Strike. That was fun. That was really fun, dude. Like, that Battle Royale mode on Counter-Strike actually was really fun. I really liked playing it. For whatever reason. I think it was because it wasn't like... It was a little bit more strategic in the sense that it wasn't like a free-for-all, really. You had to be very strategic because the amount of weapons and ammo that were available were limited. So you're always running out of ammo. So you had to be super, like, thrifty with your ammo. And it was Counter-Strike, and I just like Counter-Strike in general, so it was a win-win. dodged my grenade. How dare you? Alright. So, looks like that one eye took out half of his life, so maybe this will take out the other half. Oh, it didn't. Okay, so he's a little bit of life left. Oh, he ran. I'm about ready to just end this mission. Uh-oh. Oh, jeez. Ah. I don't know a good strategy to get rid of those hounds. When those hounds come at you. All right, let's go get this guy. Let's go take this fool out. Oh my God, it's this game. The one thing about this game is just an endless amount of like enemies to be killed, just constant flood of them. What? Who's hitting me? What's the point of having these like barricades here if they don't stop anything? Oh gosh. This is a bad mistake. Thought I was gonna go with my sword for a second, and then I thought better of it. Chicken tendies. In respiration, what gases do organisms produce and consume? They consume oxygen. In cellular respiration, oxygen is taken in, carbon dioxide is produced. Oh, geez. Alright, that guy's dead. Alright, get him. Get it. See ya. Okay. All right, Viha and Hia. The way you see it is you go to full assignment list. Go to full assignment list and click on the results tab, and that should show you. Chicken tendies. Oh, sorry. I missed actually some questions up there. Na Husani, do I play Fortnite? I used to, but not anymore. And chicken tendies, dead organic matter is called detritus. Yeah, thanks, Derek. Got it.
Vex mine is destroyed. The path to the dark future is dark.
Can you find it, you guys? I'm pretty sure that's the way it works.
Osiris, it's been
Yeah, you should be able to go to full assignment list.
Too long.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I've had other
That one, I'm not sure how to handle that one.
time, pain, a guardian who makes a habit of the impossible, who I'm proud to call a friend.
The world has changed.
So has the city. You could come back with me.
No, my place is here now. We stopped the Vex this time. Many equations lead to the same solution. If they were ever to find another. Besides, I predicted many things, but I never saw you.
Okay. I think I'm gonna call it quits for the night. I can't really listen to you guys. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't listen to these kind of things. I'm just here for the shooting. I'm here for the fun. Alright, maybe I'll answer these last couple questions here. What do we got? Thanks, Jeaning. Jeaning. Am I pronouncing your name right? Jeaning. Alright, I got a bunch of new items. I gotta quit. 271, 275. Okay. Dismantle. 265, 282. Dismantle. 257, 292. Nice. Trying to get to 300 power level so I can start that next mission. Submachine gun, 261. Sidearm, hand cannon. Get rid of that hand cannon. Scout rifle. Okay. Alright. I think I'm calling it. Oh, it's Catherine. See, I didn't know. Sorry, Catherine. Difference between renewable and sustainable. So Irene, difference between renewable and sustainable. So water is a renewable resource because water is made of matter and it doesn't go away. So the same amount of water is on Earth as always. But sustainable water means using it in a way which you don't run out of fresh water. That's basically the difference. And by the way, thanks, Catherine, for telling Hia to how to deal with that issue. So, appreciate that. Okay. All right. Ian, I'll answer your question before I leave. What is the difference between homeostasis and response to stimuli? Responding to stimuli is like when there's a change in the environment, the organism can respond to it in terms of reacting to it. And so homeostasis is maintaining an internal stable conditions. So they're kind of similar, but one is more of like keeping your inner conditions and inner temperature and pH and nutrient levels and all those things at a stable level, whereas responding to stimuli is a little bit more about being able to move towards certain things, right? Like, for example, sunflowers will respond to the light overhead by moving to follow it, right? Little like bacteria will respond to like sugar in their environment and move towards it to get the energy. That's the difference. But I think I'm calling it quits for the night. All right, guys. So that was fun. Thank you, everybody. I will see you everyone tomorrow. Don't stay up too late studying. I wish you all the best with whatever you're doing. But that's it from me. Peace. I'm out.